My dad, many of you know, was a gardener. He loved that garden plot out here as much as anything about this facility. He loved that community garden. But he loved his garden. And many a day after a meal, he'd say, let's go to the garden. Come on, everybody, let's go to the garden. And we'd walk it. You ever do this? Thank you, I'm glad someone. So you walk out to the garden with him, and he goes, yep, beans are going to get picked next week. Yeah, tomatoes, they'll be coming along. Well, the blackberries are looking good. Just kind of walk around and enjoy the garden. Just feel the grass between your toes. Those of you in condominiums have no idea what I'm talking about. I do the same thing. My kids go, what are you doing? Going for a walk. Where are you going? Out in the yard. What's out there? I don't know. Stuff. Let's go walk. Some of the sweetest times is walk in the garden. And that's the image. Verse 8. God's walking, and apparently, normally, Adam and Eve kind of walk with him, and this time they're nowhere to be found. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? It's a question, by the way, that echoes across the ages to this very moment. Because everybody in this room today and within the sound of my voice is being asked the very same question. Where are you? And God really wants to know. He's looking for you. He wants you to be with him. Adam and Eve we call it the fall. They've fallen. They fell for the lie. They've fallen out of fellowship. They're going to fall out of the garden. They chose a lesser good than what God had in mind for them. And so they're hiding. Not so much because they're naked, but because of what that means, you know. They're hiding behind the trees because they're guilty. They're afraid. Did you notice that the very first word a human being has ever portrayed as saying to God is, I was afraid. Fear has been on our lips and in our hearts from the get-go. That's why we have a sermon series on fear, because it's at the heart of most of us. We're afraid, not just of our secrets. We live our lives often in fear because we've wandered far from what God intended for us. They engage in this kind of childish blame game. She made me do it. He made me do it. You know, like kids caught with a cookie. Hey, who did that? Well, Bobby made me do it. You know, we all do it. It wasn't my fault. How many ways do we excuse our actions by inviting someone else to be the scapegoat? Well, this doesn't work with him, it doesn't work with us, and what they find is what we find with God. It's very interesting. They find, first of all, God is a loving God. He could have easily, in good kind of Old Testament fashion, called down lightning and wiped them out and said, let's start over. I'm going to get me some people who will behave in the garden. Instead, you look over in verse 21, he begins being a seamstress. He knits them clothing. He doesn't cast them out away from his care. Now, there are consequences we'll talk about, but he continues to seek a relationship with them.